the Trump administration doing some things that are a bit perplexing. So since she's a conference speaker, I wanted to talk to her about a lot of these issues. Michelle, Brigitte Gabriel, and I've known Brigitte for, I think, 12 years now, and she says this: something stunning has happened in the Trump presidency regarding radical Islam. And then she goes on to say, she says, Brigitte Gabriel, president of Act for America, author of They Must Be Stopped, goes on to say that Trump's failure to mention radical Islamic terrorism, and for that matter, any of his men and women in high position on 9/11, now a few weeks ago, simply stunned her. If I could play a 2-minute soundbite and get your response to it, please.
But yesterday, it was obvious that something has happened in the Trump presidency that has changed and changed dramatically. When I listened to the speeches yesterday, like you mentioned, by all the leaders in the administration, by Trump, by Mattis, by Pence, it would have literally been a speech, especially the president's speech, a speech that could have been uttered by President Obama himself. Literally. Wow. It could have been a speech read by President Obama, or if Hillary would have won the presidency, it would have read by President Hillary Clinton. I did not expect that out of President Trump. I expected that out of Hillary Clinton, but not President Trump. This is a huge shift from the president that the American public, over 60 million people, came out and supported and voted for and got him elected, and in a shocking election. And I believe yesterday, almost all of them felt the betrayal by this president. It is really a shame. But having said all that, just to look at the silver lining, I have to say that I have faith that in the end he will go back to his original clarity.
This is what I want to get into. This is very important because I don't want people to feel like, oh, Raheem, you're throwing the baby out with the bathwater here. You and I, Brigitte, and I think most of this audience as well, if not every single person in this audience, are very fair-minded people, right? We're willing to call it the way we see it. That doesn't mean that we find this to be an irredeemable situation or anything like that. Okay. And by the way, here's the thing. And
absolutely not.
I want to see if you agree with me on this. Look, if radical Islam had appeared in any one of those speeches yesterday, if it had appeared in a tweet, if it had appeared in a press statement, anything like that, we wouldn't be banging on about the situation right now. Okay, it would have been slightly bad that the president maybe didn't say in his speech. We would have forgiven it as not an intentional move. The fact it wasn't in any of these speeches, the fact it wasn't in any communications out of the White House and the top people, that means it's intentional, right, Brigitte?
Exactly, especially on 9/11 Memorial Day, Raheem, especially on 9/11.
Michelle Bachmann, your thoughts on this topic?
Well, again, I think that the president's gut instincts are right on this. I am concerned that the people around him, using the language radical Islam was a good thing for President Trump to do because he communicated. It was code language to normal, sane Americans that there is a real problem with Islam in the United States, and these radical elements, as we all see, are completely unacceptable and antithetical to an American way of life. But what would be even more important than using the code language of radical Islam would be if President Trump would announce that he is going to designate the Muslim Brotherhood a foreign terrorist organization. Yes. That's extremely important. I introduced that legislation when I was in Congress because the Muslim Brotherhood is the umbrella organization of at least 70 different terrorist franchises. There are multiple nations who've already designated the Muslim Brotherhood a terrorist organization. If President Donald Trump would take that action, then everyone would recognize he's got this. But I'm concerned because I understand that his advisors encouraged him not to designate the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization. And really, it is policy that comes out of the White House. Words are extremely important, but it is the policy, and the president can do that unilaterally. He doesn't even need Congress. He has the authority to designate a terror organization. And when you do that, then multiple tools come into play for an administration to defeat that organization. It would tell radical Islam, we know who you are, we're on to you, and we are going to defeat you. Without that designation, the enemy still thinks that they have free play.